Hey folks, Quill18 here, and welcome to some Let's Play Dwarf Fortress with Ava. If you don't follow her on already, she's at youtube.com/akissforluck. There's going to be a link down below, and I forget to put it. Make sure to remind me.
I'll do that.
Okay. So, you have your dwarven drink?
I have Guinness in a Samuel Smith's glass. I'm a little confused, but I think
It's
it'll
a
do.
little confusing, but it'll work. I have some innocent gun in an innocent gun glass. So that's good. Now, do you have your dwarven hat?
Not a one. Oh, yeah, you're just too cool for me.
She doesn't have the hat on. Well, I guess to make her not feel too bad, I guess I won't wear the hat the whole time.
This one time.
God, what a sacrifice. So yes, here we are. We're playing some Dwarf Fortress, which, if you guys don't know what Dwarf Fortress is, it's basically SimCity meets Lord of the Rings. It is, it's like playing Minecraft, but instead of playing the one dude in Minecraft, you're overseeing an entire sort of fortress where your dwarves are doing your mining and your constructing and your building and all those things.
Is this the game you were telling me about a couple years ago? Had this great big wonderful civilization going, and then you lavaed it and it all burnt up and died or something?
That did happen once. Now, only once. Now, flooding the
Only
fortress,
once.
I have flooded a fortress more than once.
Okay.
You know, you've got a river here, you're trying to direct it in, so you got some fresh water, and maybe you can irrigate some farms and things go horribly, horribly bad. Yeah, so, Dwarf Fortress. Now, in this first part, what we're going to do, well, the whole thing is going to be let's play / semi-tutorially,
Teaching me.
and teaching. A lot of people have requested it. Now, Dwarf Fortress actually commonly has been one of my most requested games over on my voting website. If you haven't voted already, there is a link down below as well for that. So you can go and suggest what games to do. So a lot of people want to see me play again, but a lot of people also just kind of want more tutorials for it because it's not the most user-friendly game to get started with. The controls are very bad.
That's what I think I loaded it once, again, about 3 or 4 years ago, looked around for a minute and went, you're right, next year.
Yeah. So I think a lot of people have that problem, and it's really unfortunate because it's such a good, fun game once you get past that initial learning curve. So we're going to see about doing that together. Now, let me flip over to the desktop mode. Here we go. So what we are going to do is we're going to be playing this Dwarf Fortress game, but the way to get started, now Dwarf Fortress is free. The two brothers who work on it, the Tarn Adams and Zach Adams, they actually make a living just off the donations, which is unbelievable. So if you download it and you like it, please donate so that they can keep working on the game. But yeah, they actually make a full-time, that's their job right now, or at least for Tarn Adams, the main programmer. It's his full-time job. He just works on this purely off donations. So it is a good game. It is free to download. And if you Google just Dwarf Fortress, you'll find it. But you don't want to just download Dwarf Fortress by itself. Instead, what you want to do is you want to Google the Lazy Newb pack. And what this does...
Yes, I do.
Absolutely, and that's all I use. The reason is this comes with some built-in graphic sets, because by default, the game comes with just sort of ASCII character art. It looks like you're looking at the Matrix, so it can be a little rough to figure out at first. So by downloading the Lazy Newb pack, it comes with a couple of different graphic sets that you can select and use, which makes it easier. Plus, it's got a few other tools it comes with, most notably something called Dwarf Therapist, which helps manage the game considerably.
Dwarf Therapist?
Dwarf Therapist. So you're going to go here, you can download either one of these, the regular pack or the advanced pack, which comes with some extra tools. I mean, if you don't use them, you don't use them, it's fine, it doesn't bother you. I just download the advanced pack all the time because I find it more convenient. You download it, you're going to unzip it, you're going to get this kind of folder structure. This folder has the actual game, this has the extra stuff, but really all you have to do is run the Lazy Newb pack exe, which will then bring you to this screen. And this is where you can configure the game. The very first thing you want to do, or really the only thing you really want to do, is you want to go to the Graphics tab, click on one of the graphic tile sets. I use the Phoebus tile set. I think it looks really nice. And then click Install Graphics. And then once you have done that, you'll have the better graphics. And you want to do that first because that actually resets the other options. The other thing I would highly recommend is you turn off aquifers. So aquifers are subterranean water levels, because what will happen is if they're on and you happen to be somewhere where there's an aquifer, then when you try to mine downwards, it's just going to flood with water. And there are techniques you can use to deal with that, but it's a huge pain in the ass. Not worth when you're starting off, so the best thing to do is just turn it off completely. If you happen to be on a slow computer, you might want to lower the population cap to maybe 100. You could also turn off the temperature and the weather, which also pretty dramatically improves frame rate. But if you have a decent computer, you might just want to leave it on. It's not going to be much of an issue while your population is still small, generally speaking. The other thing is, if you happen to be on a computer without a number pad, like a laptop, you probably will want to switch to the Lazy Newb keybind. So you just click on it and then click Load. And what that will do is it will change some of the keyboard buttons to be a little friendlier if you don't have the number pad. But other than that, the important thing is choose a graphics set, turn off the walkers, especially if you're early on, and then click Play Dwarf Fortress. And that will bring you to this screen. And this is where Dwarf Fortress really starts to look really unfriendly.
Well, continue playing, I get. Quit?
Yeah, sure, yeah, those are options. So the thing is that even with the new tile set, the actual introduction, the setup screen for this is pretty arcane to look at. But it's actually not that bad to use. Now, you actually won't have continue playing the first time, because you won't have started playing. Mm-hmm. And what you have to do is create a new world. And this is the part where Dwarf Fortress becomes absolutely mind-blowing, because it procedurally generates a whole complete world from scratch. If you played something like Minecraft, you might be like, yeah, okay, randomized world. I get this, cool.
Yeah.
Well, this does everything Minecraft does, but it also simulates hundreds of years of history. Every person who's lived and died in that period of time, every kingdom that's been raised and collapsed in on itself, every god, every dragon that's shown up, every event that has happened gets simulated and built up, so that when you finally start playing, you are in a world that is more fleshed out than most fantasy novels.
So playing a game of dwarves is not prepared me for this.
Game of Dwarves is a really good sort of lightweight intro to this type of thing. Okay. Other retro games you might play that would be similar would be something like Dungeon Keeper, which is fantastic. Okay. Evil Genius, a little bit like it. Oh man, we should do some Evil Genius. It's so funny. You're like a Bond villain. You're building your evil lair in a volcano. Mm-hmm. Secret agents come to break in and steal incriminating evidence. So you build a huge network of traps and stuff to catch them. And, it's amazing. So for now, we're going to have to create this new world. Okay, we're not going to play in the one that I've already started. So we're going to create a new world, and this step takes a little bit of time. So, there's two options. There is a design a new world with advanced parameters.
I saw.
Just quite a bit more, but we're just going to go with the normal create a new world at this point. And there's still plenty of options here, mostly to deal with the size of the world that we're going to create, the length of history simulated, and so on and so forth. You can pretty much leave it as is. There's nothing wrong with this. I would recommend you can probably drop it down to a small world and not lose anything. And again, if you have maybe a slightly slower computer, that'll really help things out considerably. There's something else that'll help. I'll show you a little bit further on if you have performance issues. But I find that small worlds work well enough. And the thing is, once you create a world, you can play many, many, many games over and over. You can build many fortresses over the years. You can play also in adventure mode, which is more like a roguelike, where you're literally going around as one person, going to towns, talking to people, picking up quests, going around killing people. If you happen to have created a fortress and then abandoned it for whatever reason, you can actually go back and visit your fortress if you can find it in the world, and explore it and loot it. It's pretty amazing. In addition to world size, I would recommend the mineral occurrence, especially if it's your first time playing. Just crank it up, probably to everywhere. I'm going to go to frequent. I'm going to keep it a little bit lower, but by going to everywhere, it makes it much easier for you to find iron, to make steel, to have very high value metals like gold and silver that you can use to trade things. And because I'm a bit of a masochist, I'm going to raise up the natural savagery to high, just to make it a little bit more interesting for me. I don't recommend that on your first go, but we're going to do that. So I'm going to hit Y for go, because why? Sure. Of course. I mean, it's perfectly logical. And now we're going to generate the world. And it may actually take a couple of tries to generate the world. Sometimes you'll see a little indicator to say how many tries it's gone through, because it'll try to generate some of the continents and stuff, and look at it and be like, no, that's not good, that's not going to work, and then it'll restart. But at this point, we've gone through the basic world creation, and we are now simulating time. It's going to simulate... Yeah, there are multiple ages it will go through. It generates different types of history depending on the age. I think we're going to do 250 years of history. You can make this shorter if you want, and that this bit takes a while. But again, this is only something you have to do once. You get the process started, walk away, make a sandwich.
I was if you're used to loading The Sims 3, this is not taking very long.
Wow, especially if you have downloads and expansions. I mean, that is not make a sandwich. That is go upstairs, make yourself a pork roast. From scratch, grow the cow.
Actually, I have started Sims, even back in Sims 2 with all the downloads I tend to get. I started the game.
Yeah.
Ran upstairs, stripped the bed, go down the basement, put it in the laundry, come upstairs, wash the dishes, make a quick lunch, go in, sit my lunch down, make a pot of tea, sit down with tea, and then have lunch while I waited for it to finish.
Yeah, The Sims. My God.
I've done this.
It doesn't seem to run too bad once you're in there, but the loading times are ridiculous.
It's fine.
So, and here, the loading times aren't too bad. It's the generation time. We are crafting a world from scratch. We currently have, there we go, it's basically finished. We have created 36,000 historical figures, 21,000 which are dead. There are 225,000 historical events of varying importance. Oh, we have a really cool sort of haunted wood over here.
Is that what this is?
Yeah, that's what that purpley bit is.
Purple is scary.
Yeah, so I can move around the world here, and we can snoop around if we want. The other thing we can do is you can hit P, and it will export a bitmap of your world. Now, if you've got a very large world, that bitmap can look really cool because it's going to be huge resolution. You sort of shrink it down, you get a really nice, beautifully designed world to look at.
Oh, I wish they had that built into Minecraft.
Oh, yeah, that export feature.
Yes.
There must be some tool that you can get.
There are things online. Yeah, you have to. Yeah,
I'm sure.
Stuff.
So our world is called Otztuxman, which means the Cyclopean Plains. And so right now we're looking at the Persuasive Land, the Hill of Whispers. So we're still in the Persuasive Lands, but now we've moved over to, that was the hill, the scintillating forest, the Spread Sea, more Hills of Whisper over here, the Confident Finger. Yeah. The Unspeakable Jungles. That's actually a really good name. Oh, you know what? All these purple things I think are inherently like evil and haunted. That's why they're unspeakable. And if we go down here, for example, there's another one. I don't know what these golden hills are. Forest of Wings. That's cool. The Hill of Wallowing.
Aww.
This is the Hill of Humor, but it stands alone. Oh, and the Forest of Nights, and then yeah, we're back in the Hill of Wallowing. These are not particularly friendly areas. So this is our world. This is where we're going to play. I'm going to hit Enter to accept. It's going to unload this, and again, it takes a little bit just to save it. But this is mostly just that one-step process, right? It's going to store everything on your hard drive. And as I said, there's actually 3 modes to the gameplay. There's the Fortress mode, which is my favorite.
Okay.
There's the Adventure mode, which is where you run around as a person around the world. And there's something called Legend mode, which is basically the Wikipedia of the world you've created. You can look up every figure that's existed in the game, every event, every civilization, every city. Every special site is available in here. And you can view and read up their history.
Awesome.
We can take a look if you want. We can go to Start Playing. So, again, continue playing would be my existing game. So I'm going to go Start Playing. This is in my region number 2, Otztuxman. Otztuxman? Otztuxman. Yeah, maybe that. Otztuxman. So the 3 modes. So if we pop down into Legend, there's again going to be a little bit of startup time as it reads the whole world once more here and just loads that all into memory. But again, now we can see all the historical figures, sites, regions. So let's go to historical figures and who do we want to read about? Do we want to read about Koknerokond Ustrok Magug the Bronze Colossus?
Of course we do.
Who settled in the Static Hills, and he was confronted by the human Rodo. Cook struck down the human Rodo in the Static Hills, and so on and so forth. And he's been alive, for quite some time.
They have whole lives?
Related entities. These are all enemies of this Colossus. I mean, this is a ferocious beast. It has 26 confirmed kills. It has lair in rights targets. So these are the older forgotten beasts. But if we keep going down, now we're going to start, let's find Emof, the male elf. So he was born in the year 1. So he basically was around. He was one of the first of his kind. He was around at the start of the world, the birth of the world. So he did some things. He began wandering the jungle. He confronted a jaguar, fought with the jaguar. While defeated, the latter escaped unscathed. Emof settled in Lockhoof. Emof again began wandering the wilds. He confronted the Minotaur Leng in The Just Savage. Emof was struck down by the Minotaur Leng, the Just Savage, in the Hill of Whispers.
Oh my god.
In the year 19. And so this just keeps going. Birth, death, there we go. So these are the older entities. A lot of these were just generated at the start of the world, but now we have actual birth and death times. And these people would be born from people. In fact, this elf's still alive. He was born in... he died in 32. So, let's find someone. He's got a really long lifespan. Arain Slapcopper, the human. He was actually 116 years old when he died. He didn't actually have a very exciting life.
He married.
Yeah, became a clothier. Scouted around, and eventually died of old age.
Well, not everybody can be a hero.
Not everyone can fight a minotaur in the hills.
Somebody's got to make clothes.
Someone's got to make clothes.
The hero would be, naked without it.
Exactly. So, we've got all this stuff, right? So we can pop out, and we can go start playing, and we will play Dwarf Fortress mode. So, again, it's going to load the region the first time around. And so here we've got the mode. This is the last almost the last of the really bad screens. It's definitely bad. Let's not deny that. It's terrible.
Better than I remember.
Yeah, well, it helps when you've got the graphic pack, for one. Although, again, the graphic pack that I'm using helps a lot when you're actually playing the game, but it does have slightly weird side effects. Like, you're going to see on this map here, sometimes we'll see, like, a chest of drawers, or here's a treasure chest right here. Well, that's because the symbol that is used in-game for a treasure chest, they also use as a symbol for something on this world map. So it looks a little odd, but, not a big deal. So this is our world view, and we can move around with the arrow keys. If I hold shift, it'll move in sort of chunks like this quite quickly. So this is our entire world, actually, over here. Shrunk down quite a bit.
Okay.
But then also in the middle, we've got our regions. So where my yellow X is the region view. And you can see, I mean, we've sort of on an island over here. Well, the island is blown up quite a bit over here.
Okay.
And then finally we have the local view. So in fact, where my cursor is in this region is in some sort of town. These are town areas.
Oh, okay.
Whereas if I move over here, we've got more wilderness. Actually, these are quite populated areas. There we go, more wilderness, hills, that sort of thing. So, and what we're doing now is we're picking the actual place that we will play in for our fortress. This is where our group of 7 dwarves will travel to.
7.
And of course it's 7 dwarves. Of course. What else did you think?
I should have known.
God. 7 dwarves are going to travel and set up a fortress somewhere. And so what we could do is we could shop around for all kinds of things. We could just look around and, what do we think of the areas and the surroundings and different things. We get information about it over here on the right-hand side.
Yeah, I was looking at that.
Temperate shrublands, it's warm, it's woodlands, it's got some vegetation. It's untamed wilds, so it's going to be, quite dangerous in terms of animals and things. Although it's not evil land, luckily. Right? Whereas if we went down to one of these purpley areas, like here.
Terrifying.
Terrifying. Yeah, so if we settled here, we'd probably find things like skeletons, or skeletal animals, for example. And the last time I settled in a terrifying biome, instead of raining like rain, it rained like snot or elf blood or something like that. Yeah, it's terrible.
Okay.
You don't colonize these types of areas unless you're a pro and you really want some hardcore gameplay.
Or you like the gross boy stuff?
Yeah. What do you say, boy stuff?
Snot? I would have never thought of it.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough. Now, so you can shop around this way, and that's totally fine. That's totally cool. You can hit tab and look at different modes. So if we settled here, we'd only have dwarves and goblins as neighbors. No elves or humans, which is kind of
nobody else
interesting.
wants to come here.
Whereas if we go here, there's dwarves, elves, and humans, but actually no goblins, which would actually make it pretty easily. Wow, that's surprising.
And some are just dwarves.
Yeah, this land is very odd, actually. Yeah, just dwarves over here.
What's the big white line across?
I believe that's a road.
Okay.
Yeah, usually, I mean, first of all, I have very clumpy little islands on this particular map, and usually you have, like, all 4 races all the time as neighbors.
Oh.
This is very odd, but fine, I guess. Now, so again, you can keep shopping, and if we keep tabbing, civilization, there's actually only 1 dwarf in civilization. Well, maybe there. Anywhere else? No, there's only 1 dwarf in civilization in the world. This is a really weird world that got generated. Holy cow. And they're centered here, where these blue guys are.
Okay.
This is where my my dwarven civilization is.
The National Die?
That's what they're called. It's a pretty terrible, randomly generated name, actually. So, listen, it's hit and miss with these sorts of things. Let's see. Relative elevation. Yeah, sure, that makes sense to me. Yeah. Cliff indicator. Some people really like to pick very interesting looking sort of terrain. You can use these to find interesting waterfalls and things. For example, appears to be, that's not really the source. There might be a source over here of this river or brook. And sometimes if you find, that cliff indicator, sometimes you'll find a very high cliff, and that can be a sign of a waterfall, which can be appealing.
That's pretty.
So you can shop around that way. By far the easiest is to use this F button to find as our location. And then you give it some description. So, okay, also, we're moving around the world with the arrow keys.
Yes.
But we can move around the local area with the, you can see down here, UMKH on your keyboard.
Okay.
And this moves this area. This represents the actual place where you will be playing.
UMKH?
Well, the arrow keys are being, listen.
What's wrong with W and A and things?
Listen, I know, but that's the way it is. We can also resize this region with the shift key. We can make it bigger, but I generally don't recommend
Oh.
it. It can be pretty hard on the CPU to have very large areas. The
Okay.
pathfinding in the game is what sucks up most of the CPU.
Okay.
So when you have lots of dwarves, that will slow it down, and if it's a big area, it'll slow it down. In fact, if you got a slower computer, use a 3x3 area. You're still going to get lots of gameplay.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll use the 4x4 because in game it actually ends up being much, much bigger.
All right.
So we use the 4x4. But so when we hit find, we can specify what our dimensions are going to be of the area it's going to find. And then we can specify different things. So savagery, because I'm crazy, I'm going to say high savagery.
Of course.
But I'm going to go, I only want medium evil.
Okay.
Okay, I don't want like horrifically evil. Actually, I'm going to say NA, and then we'll pick a smart destination based on that. Do I want a certain elevation? Meh. Temperature? Meh. Rain? Meh. Meh. You might want these things. Now, fluxstone becomes very important. So if you've got an iron-bearing ore, you can make iron bars. If you've got some sort of fluxstone, you can then make steel.
Oh,
And that's pretty good.
that's
so
important.
I'm going to flick it to yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to go down aquifer. Now, I've already turned it down and turned it off in the game options, so this entire world should have no aquifer. But just in case, I'm also going to say I don't want one. River. Rivers are really cool, and sometimes I say
Yeah.
yes, and sometimes I say no. You want to say yes?
Sure.
We'll say yes. Shallow metals. We can say none. No, of course we want metals. We can say yes. We can say multiple different kinds of metals.
Oh.
I'm going to say same thing for deep metal. And just to make it interesting, we also want deep amounts of soil, and we want some clay. So we've got a little bit of everything to work
Sounds
with.
nice.
So I'm going to hit enter to do a search, and now it's going to parse the entire map.
Oh.
Anywhere that's red, it doesn't match our criteria, but anywhere that's green does. So it's going to find us
Nice.
every place on the map that matches the criteria somehow.
It's less and less of... Oh, and look at this.
And now we can hit escape to get out of the search mode. It's going to keep our little green things. And so now I can move around. And so, for example, over here on this map, right, the yellow square is where I'm looking. So I'll move over to this square right here. So now I'm looking at one of the areas that seem to match our requirements. And I can still move around the local map if I wanted to. All right? But right where I am now, it's temperate. There are no trees. But other vegetation is thick. So there'd be lots of berries and grasses and things. But no trees, which means no wood. It is untamed wilds, and there's a brook. There's shallow metals, deep metals, and there's fluxstone. So there's something to be said for that.
But there's no trees.
Now, one of the things we do have is down here you can see it says view biome, F1 and F2.
Okay.
There's two, we are overlapping two separate biomes right now.
Okay.
So if I hit F1, this is the first biome. If I hit F2, this is the second biome.
Oh,
The second
heavily
biome
forest.
actually is. So, and maybe, that's not bad. You know what we'll do? Just to make sure we've got a good amount of both biomes, I'm going to nudge the local map over by one. So now I've got sort of 1 foot on this side, and 1 foot in here.
Look at you. I like it.
So we'll have, this is probably a rockier kind of mountainy area.
Or plains, maybe.
It could be,
thick vegetation.
it says mountain right here. This is a mountain biome.
Oh, okay.
So it's going to be very stiff. And you know what? We're dwarves. Mountain sounds good.
We need mountains.
Of course we need mountains. But yeah, we also need to piss off elves, so we're going to have to be able to deforest an area.
There you go.
Very important. You need a little bit of both, some balance in the world, right? So we've got that. And some places will actually have 3 biomes. The other advantage of having more than one biome is each one, when you're actually mining down below, has a chance of having slightly different minerals. So by having a couple of different biomes, you're going to get a
Nice.
better mix of different metals and things.
Very nice.
So I'm going to say this looks like a great area. Untamed wilds, love it. Love it. So I'm going to hit E to embark. We're embark on our journey from the mountain homes. So our mountain homes is over here. We're going to the opposite side of this huge mountain range in the middle. We're going to go to the western side, and we're going to start a new
Oh, nice.
dwarven fortress. Embark. Are we sure? Damn right we're sure.
It's your only warning.
It is. Now, at this point, we have to choose how to prepare for the journey. The only thing you don't want to do is click play now. Because play now will start
okay.
you off with like a default configuration that's got really nothing.
Okay.
That's like the hard mode.
Ooh,
You know, you don't want to do that. Prepare for the journey carefully sounds pretty good, but what actually works out better, if you've got the lazy Newb pack, is you'll have these various pre-configured builds. What you do is you choose one of these, they will equip you with a bunch of stuff by default, and then put you in the prepare for journey carefully screen, where you can fine-tune your experience. Because what happens is the game starts you off with a certain amount of points, which you can then allocate to give skills to your dwarves,
nice.
and also purchase goods to bring with you.
I like it.
It's like if you've ever played the Oregon Trail.
Yep.
It's like that, you know, you're getting ready for your venture out west, well, you got to make sure you have enough pemmican.
That's what I was just thinking,
and
yeah.
3 guitars,
Of course.
a chest of
yeah.
drawers.
Yeah.
Very important things. Otherwise, you're
Yeah.
never going to make it across the the prairies. So it doesn't matter terribly much which one you choose. They're all going to be pretty similar. Some of them have slightly different layout in dwarves. So each one of these, so we got 7 dwarves. 2 of them will be configured to be miners.
Okay.
In this particular build I'm looking at here, actually in all of them, 2 miners, 1 mason, 1 sort of woodsman who's good at chopping down trees. This one here will have 1 dwarf who is both a carpenter and a crafter. Another dwarf who is a farmer and a cook, and 1 who's a hunter. And I'm quite fond of this sort of preparation.
Sounds nice.
The only other configuration that is really, really good is to somehow remove 1 of them and replace him with someone who's good to be a doctor. Because doctor skills are hard to come by.
Right.
And
nobody in our group brews.
I believe the farmer will actually start with some brewing skills, but we can make sure. I'm going to take this build and we're going to look at it a little further. So I'm going to hit enter to embark. We get a weird error message because the build included certain goods which may or may not be available to everyone depending on the world configuration. So in this case we have no red sand, no fish, and no cave lobsters. No fish? That's weird.
No cave lobsters?
No cave lobsters.
That's harsh.
So I'm going to hit escape to close this dialog box, and I know it's kind of glitchy. I think it may partially be due to the recording or the graphic tile set. But if you hit tab, then it'll clear it up. So tab actually alternates between 2 views. One, this is our dwarves and our skills, and the other one is the goods we're actually bringing with us.
Oh, nice.
So our dwarves right now, we have 7 names for our dwarves. We have Zulbin, Serral, Zassit, Nil, Edsel, Zaneg, and Aleph.
I like Nil.
Nil, yeah.
Because I can say it.
So Nil is going to be our carpenter, our architect, building designer. He's also a novice woodcrafter, a bone carver, a gem setter, a gem cutter,
He can do all
a
of
butcher,
those things
a tanner.
highlighted.
Just a little bit, yeah. So, for example, let's go over to Sarah. So every one of these has 0 because the dwarves have a maximum number of skills they can know.
Okay.
So Sarah's the only one left that has some points unallocated because he has 5 ranks in miner to be a proficient miner, and he has 1 rank in novice mechanic, and nothing else. So we have some points left over. We have 75 points left over, although people can't quite see that. Let me move us over to here. So we have 75 points left over. So for example, with Cyril, I can decide that, I also want him to be what? You know what we need? We need a wood crafter, because one of the things our hunter's going to need is some bolts for his crossbow, and early on, wooden bolts are the only thing we're going to be able to do. So we're going to make a wood crafter, and I'm going to hit plus, so it's plus and minus,
Okay.
to give him some points in that. Or am I wrong?
No.
Why can't I give him some of those? I should have points. Minus, yeah. Oh, I've got the wrong guy selected. That's why. Sarah, here we are. I somehow moved off of there. There we go. So we can get him all the way up to skilled.
Nice.
And the number over here is the cost to increase it by another point. So the first point costs 5, and it'll cost 6, then 7, then 8, then 9. Well, we can't because he's tapped out on how many skills you can know.
Okay.
So we've added woodcrafter there. So what kind of configuration is best? It really varies. Again, there's really something to be said about going down to the doctor-related skills, which is wound dresser, diagnostician, surgeon, bone doctor, suturer. Those 5 skills, very key to make a really good doctor. So we're going to have no doctor.
Okay.
Hopefully we'll be okay. Now we can also hit tab.
Kickers and biters.
Yeah, kickers and biters. Those are powerful melee weapon-like fighting skills.
You can bring rabbits and bunnies.
We
oh
can.
My.
Yeah, we can have quite the stable. So we have 49 points left over. On the left-hand side, these are all the things we already have, including the number. So for example, we have 2 copper picks.
Okay.
They cost 44 points each. So if I wanted to, I could add a 3rd copper pick and be down to 5 points. When we have 2 miners, we definitely need at least 2 picks.
Okay.
Iron anvil is very important because it's actually one of the only things you can't sort of craft from scratch.
Okay.
So you definitely need... Well, although it saves up a lot of points. What some people do is they will not bring the anvil, and they will just buy it the first time a trade caravan comes through. But that's a little risky. I like to make sure I've got one. Overall, this is a pretty good configuration. If I've got points left over, usually what I'll do, just to make sure nothing goes horribly wrong, is I will spend it on booze and food. Now, dwarves need a lot of booze.
You can't go wrong with booze.
If a dwarf ever ends up having to drink water, he gets very, very unpleasant.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, no. Drinking water is a failure state. Your fortress is pretty much going to implode at any moment if your dwarves are forced to drink water. You have to keep them liquored up.
Okay. Okay. Well, yeah.
You're right. So, bringing that is pretty good. The other thing that I recommend as a priority are plump helmets or plump helmet spawns. So plump helmets are mushrooms.
Oh.
Dwarves end up eating these quite a bit. They're very fond of the plump helmets. You can also use them to make your liquor. You make plump helmet. I believe it's plump helmet wine is what you end up making. So I will spend a bunch of points on there. I mean, you can do tons of stuff to get it. Whatever. Let's bring some extra ale. There's ways to min-max and whatever, and who cares? So we've got a variety of different foods. We've got llama milk, alpaca milk. We've got some rat meat, turkey meat, chicken meat.
Dog meat,
Of course. Listen, and you can kill everything in here. It's pretty ridiculous. We're also bringing some turkeys, some dogs, one hunting dog already trained, a couple of cats, and the gender is pretty important.
Yes.
Right, so you can get breeding pairs and that sort of thing. So this sounds good. I'm going to eat him. Oh, the other thing we can do. We can rename all these guys. So let's look at the Zolbin over here. Let's say that Zolbin, I don't know. We can view him. So we can hit V to view. And gives us descriptions. Let me...
He's quite content.
Bring it like that.
71.
71 is not so old for a dwarf.
He's very fat.
Very fat.
Long sideburns are braided. Long mustache is neatly combed.
Yeah, there's no periods because this graphic set sort of, because of whatever, the periods get replaced with these sort of blobs. Yeah. Very long beard is arranged in double braids.
You could draw him. You get a picture of who he is.
So these are all procedurally generated. Now, the visual description is not terribly important, but this bit is actually quite important for some things.
Very slow to heal.
Yes. He likes obsidian, black bronze, turquoise, clear glass, pond turtles, bone cabochons? I don't know what a cabochon is. There's a type of gel. Oh. I don't know. I'll have to look it up after. Battle axes, gloves, statues, and white-handed gibbons for their ability to swing through the trees. He likes monkeys.
He likes monkeys.
When possible, he prefers to consume prickleberry wine. Absolutely detests fire snakes. Well, who doesn't? I mean, there's snakes, and then there are snakes that are already on fire. He has great analytical abilities, great intuition, very good focus, and a sum of patience. But he has a meager kinesthetic sense and a really bad memory. I don't think this person would make a great fighter, but he actually might be a decent leader. He's actually a miner, though. And quick to anger, only rarely feels strong cravings or urges. He is very friendly, enjoys the company of others, so on and so forth. And every single dwarf has this one line. He needs alcohol to get through the working day.
Do they really? Oh, I love it.
Well, this one actually likes working outdoors, which is surprising. Very rare for a dwarf. And the dwarven description is a short, sturdy creature fond of drink and industry. That is a dwarf. So we've got that. We can read the descriptions. We can also rename them. Like, we can hit C to customize them. Change their nickname, change their profession name.
Oh, okay.
We've also got our group name. So our group is going to be called Tullen Fish, which means the Road of Wings.
Sure. Because we're just flying along to new
Sure.
horizons.
And then we can change all these things considerably using these various things and whatnot. And if we're not happy, we could hit R to randomize it again. Abethiticious, the Post of Spirals.
It's not getting better.
The Lone Mines.
Can you say it?
Tetothavus, the Lone Mines. That's not terrible.
Sure.
All right.
One more beer and we'll think we're saying it right.
There we go. So I think that's good enough. I'm going to hit E to embark. And of course there's no progress dialogue boxes or anything of that kind ever. Why would there be? You have arrived after a journey from the mountain homes into the forbidding wilderness beyond. Your harsh trek has finally ended. Your party of 7 is to make an outpost for the glory of all of Solomatier. That's our dwarven. I don't remember the English name, but it was terrible. So Solomatier sounds great, though. There are almost no supplies left, but with stout labor comes sustenance. Whether by bolt, plow, or hook, provide for your dwarves. You are expecting a supply caravan just before winter entombs you. But it is spring now. Enough time to delve secure lodgings ere the black bears get hungry.
Ooh.
A Newb, because we are in crazy wilderness, right?
Yes.
I don't remember the term, but it was like high wilderness.
Yeah.
A new chapter of dwarven history begins here at this place. Zatsistad. Knife matches. Oh, our group was called that other thing, the Lone Mines. But
Oh, okay.
this area is knife matches. Strike the earth. All right.
Whack it.
So I'm going to hit escape here. It's going to do a quick autosave, and then we will be back with the next part of this video. See you next time, folks.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.